Hello! Hi guys. I'm just gonna wait for a few of you guys to come on, and I'm also gonna wait for Shawna to pop on too. She's never done a shared live, and so I've only done one actually. So it like gives you like a pop up to say join live now, right? So hopefully this works out and we get it going. There we go. Hold on, gotta click on this view. Go live. Alrighty, here we go, guys. And if you guys have questions, feel free to like just shoot them out there and we can come back to them. Hopefully she's joining. Oh no, Shawna. Maybe there's like a lag with the internet. So hi everyone, welcome. Welcome, welcome. Maybe I'll text Shawna and can you guys hear me okay? Let's see. I'm gonna text her at toxic. So this will be saved. I'm just texting Shawna on here. Where did you go? And you guys, this is my first time doing a shared, like hosting a shared live. So am I doing something wrong? Let me know if I am. Let's see, you guys, where did Shawna go? So yeah, this will be saved as an IGTV. And if I might hang up right now and see, let's see. How do I add people to this thing, you guys? This is gonna go live with, oh, hold on. Oh no, unable to join. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hang up right now, delete this, don't go away. I'm gonna come back on, or I'll call her first and see what happened, and then we'll come back on in like 5 minutes. Bear with us, let's see. Hold on. Please work this time. Oh no, Shawna, it says you are unable to join. So I'm gonna hang up right now, guys, and I'm gonna call Shawna, and then we will figure this out. Oh no. Add. Waiting. Maybe I won't do that. We'll see. Connecting. Yay! That's my charge.
I was like talking to you like you could hear me. No, wait, I'm here.
So silly. Happy to see your face. Yay. Oh, this is gonna be really great. This is gonna be really great, you guys. Welcome, welcome. Shawna and I were just saying how nervous we are for this.
So weird.
We're so nervous, you guys. Okay, but yes, we did it. We did it. We're on, you guys. So what are we talking about today, everyone? We're talking about inflammatory topics, but we're trying to make them less inflammatory, right? Yeah, like so less inflammatory.
Yeah.
And everyone, if you don't know, I mean, everyone knows Shawna, but I really respect her. And I love, there's a really special place in my heart for moms who are educating each other. And Shawna, you are one of those people that educates people and helps them empower themselves over their lives and their children's health. And I just love that you are a mom. So, right? Like you are a mom and you like, aren't we all? Like we don't have to have the alphabet of letters.
Yes. I'm so sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I have to wipe a butt.
Oh. Go do it. Do it, you guys. Isn't this like such a real moment of being moms? So you guys, I was just saying, while she's wiping a baby bum. So what I was just saying is like, I really love the fact that we are uncredentialed women taking up space in the world because, and I know it's so funny that this is so real, you guys. It's just life. And when I was doing like my consults during COVID and my children are screaming in the background and it's just what we have to do as moms, right? But being uncredentialed women making changes, like it can be done. You don't have to be an engineer. You don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to be a doctor. Hi, welcome back.
I washed.
Did you say you washed?
Yeah.
I love it. So Shawna, tell us a little bit about why you wanted to enter this conversation.
I just think that, well, I just think it's important to talk about all of the things, and especially things that matter to us and things that are kind of lighting our fires. And I think that through conversation, a lot of healing happens. So
Yeah.
I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah.
And who better to have these conversations than the women who are raising the next generations,
Yeah.
right? Like we're raising children and we feel inept to have these conversations. We don't feel like we are worthy of using platforms, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Why are we as women too scared to speak out? Why don't we give ourselves permission to?
Right. I feel like there can be a lot of reasons. I know for me personally, I never sought to have a platform because that's overwhelming to me. And I honestly can't really even think about the numbers of people that are in that space shared with me because it is overwhelming and it kind of cripples me. Like I'm afraid to say the wrong thing. I'm
Right.
afraid to say something that might make somebody choose something that's not right for them. I feel like as women, a lot of times we can carry a lot of responsibility that doesn't belong to us.
Totally.
Wear a backpack of burden that isn't ours, and sometimes that can, for me personally, stifle my voice.
Right.
But there can be a lot of other factors too.
Yes. I think as women as well, like you said, we take on a lot of responsibility. We just like the weight of the world. Like we are, I maybe this is, I don't know, giving us too much, but I feel like we are naturally empaths, right? And that we feel so deeply and that we're too scared to share or we're too scared to open our mouths to say the wrong thing. But think of it, but I want people that are listening today that are conflicted, that are feeling this global wound, and we're not sure how to heal it. I want everyone to think about how has Shawna changed your life? And aren't you glad she opened her mouth and created a platform?
Mm-hmm.
Like, where would a lot of people be without you who started talking? And all you did, and you didn't hire a marketing team, you didn't pay people thousands of dollars, you just started speaking. And the ripple effect from you speaking out compassionately with good intention, with loving intention, what has happened from that? And if you guys are listening, just shout it out right now. Like, how has Shawna changed your life? So, and I want to share that because everyone can do this, right? Shawna, it like you're not a doctor. I'm
No,
not a doctor.
I'm and no one, you know, I'm just a human that has an experience, and I feel like everyone's experience is purposeful and it matters. And we all have spheres of influence, and that hasn't looked like this for me for long. My sphere of influence has always been my closest personal friends and family. It was when I was a teacher, it was in the classroom, at my church, it's all of the things. And a lot of the personal change can happen most profoundly in those intimate connections, in the small circles. You don't need to have a giant platform to make a big impact.
Right.
You don't. And oftentimes it works exactly the opposite way.
Yep. And I'm seeing all of these messages on how you've changed people's lives. And you
Right.
guys, a stay-at-home mom opened her mouth and a platform grew, right? So when we start talking, when we talk from empathy, when we talk from love, things change. People move. People feel connected. Like they feel connected to you through technology, and they make informed decisions because you led them there, right? So I want everyone listening right now to realize you have that power too, right?
Yeah.
We are all moms. We are all doing the best we can. It doesn't have to be an Instagram platform. It can be like a play date, right? It can be sitting, watching your kids do karate and you're sitting to a mom next to you. But when you come from a place of good intention and an open heart and an open mind, like you guys, who better to change the world than the stay-at-home moms? Right? Like we've seen the politicians don't do a good job about it. We see the corporations don't do a good job with it. Like it's time for us to maybe come into our power
Yes.
and shift things in our homes, shift things in our communities, shift things globally, and change the narrative around this, because the narrative sucks.
Yeah.
And it
And
hurts.
yeah, you don't even like, we all have impact, like you don't have to be a stay-at-home mom, you can be a working mom, you don't have to be a mom, you can have grown children, like you don't have to be a woman. We
Yes.
all have power, and I feel like we don't always acknowledge it. We're always contributing to something, and we are impacting the environment around us, but we're just not always acknowledging how much of that we have a role in. And so I feel like sometimes just sharing that helps just other people feel empowered and remember that they have that ability too. And it helps me to tell other people too.
I want to come back to that. But first, so I want you to talk to us in a little bit about the power that we have that influences our environment, like where we spend our money. But first, can you tell us a little bit about your history with schooling and being a teacher? And it was like in like poorer communities, isn't that correct?
Yeah, I taught primarily in a low income community where more than 90% of the student population was on free or reduced lunch.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the school district I grew up in. So I returned back to like my roots and was able to, it was really cool, kind of a full circle thing. So working in that district as an adult was just kind of, it was really neat. But a lot of things that I noticed were like heartbreaking to me, because the people that need something the most were getting such a raw deal, so they're coming to school not having had breakfast many times, and so we'll provide breakfast, and the food that was provided was not food.
Right.
It's food like product, right? And then so that would continue at lunch, and then it would continue outside of the school and into their homes too. And that's just one aspect of it, but food is like such a big issue to me, and I think to the world. But it was really heartbreaking to me. So I did what I could in that sphere of influence too, where we had like a docu-cam, and I would bring like their food and my food and bring stuff from home, and we would look at the ingredients and just read them, like, what is
You
this?
did that in the school?
It was so cool. It was like mind blowing. They're like, what is that? Ew, They
So
go
great.
home and tell their parents, and then their parents would come at parent teacher conferences and say like, he doesn't want me buying chips anymore, or whatever it was.
Oh my
It
God.
was really neat, and I got to see like the power of educating children on these issues. Sometimes they just are more able to absorb it than adults sometimes.
And look at the impact that one teacher had in a school that was a lower income community. And now, how many teachers do you think are watching you right now and are probably going to start implementing this? Like, hopefully, right? Like,
I wish my kids were learning about that at school, or like I did. I didn't know anything about, I never read an ingredient list until I was like 30.
yeah, right.
I didn't know.
Can you imagine if teachers were teaching this, or this was part of the like curriculum to teach kids how to read labels, right? Like that would be so amazing. Like the changes that we could make in people's in their future, because investing in your health has to start now, like young in their lives, right? Because eating bad now might not affect you, but in 10 years time it will, 20 years time from here, 30 years time, and then you have like heart disease, type 2 diabetes, like, so maybe you saved a few kids a whole lot of heartbreak by teaching them how to read some labels. And maybe as parents we can push for that in our communities, and have kind conversations with teachers and be like, hey, I will happily volunteer to teach kids how to make a green smoothie, or teach them how to read labels, or I don't know, something like that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's so cool. That, what grade were you teaching? Did you mention like what grade?
I did all K-5, but mostly I finished in fourth.
Okay, I missed it. Sorry. Tell us a little bit about, how do you think we can make an impact in our communities by where we spend our dollars?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So I feel like that there's like, it's like a pendulum, and every time I spend money towards something I want, it's kind of pushing the people on more that way. And when we all push, it moves so much faster. You know, I feel like we've just swung so far away from design and what things were intended to be. And eventually those pendulums start to swing back, but it's only when the people do it.
Right.
So I feel like collectively, I don't know, because I'm like spend a lot of time in this sphere, that I feel like it's moving, you know, but I don't know if that's what it looks like to the world. But I feel like we're in a time where it is starting to move more rapidly. And the more that we share that information and the more we make those little penny different changes here and there, the more quickly we're going to see that move. And then it's going to become more accessible to other people that need it the most.
Absolutely. I think that's so true. I always say, like in my podcasts and stuff, like the way you talk to these corporations isn't with your mouths, it's with your money. Yeah. Like put your money where your mouth is, you know?
Right. That's right. That's
like
right.
Start channeling the power, and the power is the money, right? Start channeling our power into those companies and those farmers and those the ma and pa shops that deserve it the most. You know, they're the ones working the hardest with the least amount of income to provide us with a really good product. And unfortunately, sometimes that product is like $1 or $2 more expensive. But when you look at that systemic issue of, you know, these massive corporations just feeding us junk, cheap food, like that $1 or $2 can really go a long way, and it continue to perpetuate these companies to stay afloat so that they can provide us with good products and healthy foods and good sourced foods, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So I think that's really important. I I want to talk a little bit more, because as we were talking on the phone before coming on here, about when we are engaging a little bit in these conversations and things can get heated, especially now because globally a wound has been opened, right? And so we've all felt insecure and unsafe. And so there's something that was taught to me about 10 years ago, and it never ever left. It was something a client shared. And she said, you know, whenever encountering any kind of situation, subconsciously your mind labels a victim, a villain, and a hero. So as we have all been going through this COVID craziness and fear and panic, it's interesting to stop and ask ourselves, am I putting myself in victim mode right now? Because my victim mode and your victim mode cannot communicate. It will never happen, right? But and I want to see what you have to say to this too. However, we need to process being in victim, not reacting from victim. And then once we have processed and done the mourning that we need to, because part of this is a mourning process too. Millions of people globally have realized like living in this world is not safe. You know, you walk out of your house, you get in your car, you're risking your life. You go to work, you're risking your life. You go to school, you're risking your life. You know, now we're realizing, oh, infectious diseases, yeah, they've killed people every year, guys. Hundreds of thousands of people die from the flu, you know, globally. But this has just been like shining in our eyes through the media lens. It's been hyper focused on, and now we're not feeling safe, right? And now we are all in victim mode, which is okay. But I want us who are listening right now maybe to realize, like, okay, we need to come out of victim mode and jump into hero mode and then talk to each other, right?
Right.
What do you have to say about that?
I've been just kind of thinking about what fear is, you know, and where that victim mentality comes from too. A lot of times it's from being in a state of fear. And what is fear? It's just like an emotional response to a perceived threat, right?
Yes.
And I feel like globally, at least as far as I can tell, everyone's feeling a perceived threat of some sort, and it looks different for everyone probably, and for different reasons. But when we're living in that state of fear, when we're living in that victim mode, when we're living in fight or flight, we're not able to make clear choices. It's like adrenaline on high. We're not able to think as clearly as normal, and also maybe looking for that hero and not always looking for that in the right place. Like you're saying, like we do have to step into being our own advocate, making our own best choices and those types of things without just waiting for somebody to do it for us all the time. I don't know if
Right.
that makes sense.
Right. And I want people listening here running to the media, looking for the answers. I don't think that's a good idea. Right? Like, because, and, and again, that's me with my opinions, and I'm going to be 100% here. This is my opinion on what media and social media is forcing us. There's someone out there paying the media's pockets, right? And so the media is going to funnel to you a driven agenda paid for by someone.
Yes.
All right. So my solution to that is switch it off. Like, don't get your news from the news. Do research, right? Like, yes, it's okay to feel scared, and then jump out of that paralysis. Like, give yourself permission to be like, okay, I'm going to jump out of that paralysis and I'm going to start researching for myself. Because once you can jump out of that paralysis, out of that dark hole, and create mobility and movement and momentum, that's where empowerment comes from.
Yeah.
Right? Fear can be a catalyst to that. But I like how you said, like, we're looking for answers and protection. We're looking for the hero. Us being in our victim mentality, we're looking for the hero in these areas and from these sources that might not have the best intentions.
Right.
Right. So is there anything else you want to say on top of that?
I give this example sometimes because it just like blew my mind when I first discovered it. But when this whole health journey for me began, I read a book by J.J. Virgin, and she's a nutritionist, and she talked in there, and I saw in her on some interviews and things, and people were asking her about, she talks in the book about gut health and inflammation, right? And she was saying things about, the dairy industry and la la la. So people asked her, why aren't you sharing this? Like, I saw you on the doctors or on Oprah, like, why aren't you saying this? And she said, well, I can't. Like, I said it. And then they told me, oh, no, you can't say that here because they'll pull our sponsorship. It just blew my mind hearing that for the first time. Like, wait, but it's true. But you can't say it because then they'll pull their sponsorship. Then the show doesn't exist because they don't get paid. And that doesn't only exist around dairy. It exists around everything because it's all paid for. That's when I say things like follow the money, do your own research. Sometimes people get frustrated by that because they feel like, how do I do that? Or what does doing my own research look like? Where does it start? I don't know what that looks like for each individual, and depending on what it is you're trying to uncover truth on, but you're probably not going to get the full story when it has a bias behind it that is fueled by major dollars, major corporations, because it just can't exist.
Exactly. I shared some examples about some lobbying agencies that are, it was on Monday. It's called ILSI, so
Yeah.
International Life Sciences Institute. And it is paid for mostly by Coca-Cola, McDonald's, other chemical companies. And this is a life science institute that lobbies for health regulations within the government. So rules and laws around health funneled through the government is paid for by McDonald's and Coca-Cola. And the narrative, and the one example that I gave to people on Monday was the narrative around that is just exercise more to lose weight and to be healthy. That's how you be healthy. Mm-hmm. However, 75% of weight loss and like 90% of health is what you cook in the kitchen. But these government, like ILSI, is not going to put out that narrative because what are they selling you? They're selling you soda, they're selling you high fructose corn syrup, and they're selling you McDonald's. And so that's, again, you got to look, it's kind of like the Wizard of Oz. You got to look for the man behind the curtain, and realize, like, who is there? Like, what's really happening? What is this? What is this message? Where's this message coming from? Right? Follow the trail, follow the money, and then start advocating for yourself and your children, and realize that, like, we've all been victims to this same broken system.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I'm not your enemy and you're not my enemy, right?
No.
Like, we got to look up, and we got to, like, look upstream as to what is being funneled to us downstream here. Okay. And say, okay, maybe it's not about what we're bickering about right now. Maybe it's about a bigger system. Let's start focusing there. The media won't focus there. They never will, because those same industries that are paying them to do their job. Right. So we need to band together as people and start having open conversations, loving conversations, right?
Yes.
And just say, you know what, this has everything to do with our children's health, our family's health, our neighbors' health, my elderly parents' health. Like, let's start feeding us real good food and healing our bodies and healing our communities and our societies and supporting those companies that do have our best interest at heart, that aren't poisoning us with high fructose corn syrup and sugary drinks all the time.
Right. Yeah.
So let's talk about, I want to, let's see, we spoke about like Band-Aid approaches, I think not working. I have like a whole list here, guys. And if there's, I don't know if you've seen any questions that you want to answer, Shawna, but do you want to talk a little bit about how do we start listening to each other? Because, you know, I want to give an example of, let's say side one, you know, phone call came through. So let's say, like, for example, I see this a lot online. Side one is saying we need to trust the experts, right? Side two is saying, but look at their track record, they're often wrong. What does middle ground wording sound like? Like, how do we realize, you know, we might be in differences of opinion, but the middle ground can be this? What do you have to say about that?
I feel like we all have a lot of common ground where we can agree on things. Like if we are talking about the health of the children, or if we're, you know, there's a lot of times where we can find middle ground. And I think a lot of times getting to the point of discovering what that middle ground is actually listening to the other person's heart.
Yes.
Because I think a lot of times we are not seeking to understand, we are seeking to be heard. And so when I'm asking someone a question or trying to, sometimes it's a manipulation, right? Where I go like, well, why do you think this? Because I want them to say it so that I can tear it apart.
Right.
When we do that, it's just furthering a divide. You're not changing anyone's mind. They're not coming to your side. You're not coming to their side. We're just further separating each other. But when we can actually find that common ground and hear someone's experience, hear their beliefs, their opinion, how they formulated that opinion, I think that that's when we can find some way to bring us back together. Totally. I don't know what that looks like. That sounds so like simplistic, and it's not easy, but it can be too.
Right. And I also want to add to that, because I think it's so beautiful that maybe having those conversations shouldn't be online. Maybe it should be looking at a face, seeing that it's a human behind the face, you know, or because it's so easy to just react when it's just letters on a screen and we don't see a soul, we don't see their story, we don't see their backstory, right? Like, we are innately like empathetic human beings. And so we can have more empathetic conversations when we are looking at each other. Like, it's less threatening when I see a human being in front of me, right? So maybe as moms, because our emotional bandwidth is like this big, like maybe we need to make that boundary and say, you know what, I'm not going to have these discussions online. Like, I'm not going to get news from the news. I'm not going to have a narrative funnel to me. I'm not going to have these conversations online, because I love, and let's say it's like a family member, I love you too much to discuss this online. Let's discuss it in person over a family dinner, or, you know, and that sounds way more inviting, right?
Yeah.
Maybe conversations need to, and again, it's your boundaries, your rules, right? I think we're just throwing out ideas here for people, but maybe we need to protect ourselves and advocate the best way we know how. But we can't do that when we are burning out, yelling at people on the internet and being yelled at in return.
No, it changes nothing. In fact, I feel like it makes things worse.
Totally.
Yeah. I've never been changed because of something that somebody yelled out on the internet at me or to someone else. I end up following along with other people that spoke things that I was interested in after I already made that decision, you know, but I wasn't like, I didn't come to these conclusions because somebody yelled it at me.
Exactly, right? And, you know, it's interesting because another thing I think we need to remind ourselves of, our friends, is an opinion isn't going to change overnight or over one conversation. Like, we can plant seeds So maybe today there are maybe 5 of you who have heard for the very first time in your lives that the media is bought and paid for by big corporations. Maybe that's a lot to swallow. Maybe it's going to take you a month or two to like let that settle in. And then maybe it takes that time for you to get enough courage to research it. That's okay. Like your processing can be done on your timeline, right? But those seeds could only be planted in a healing, helpful setting, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add to that, or any other topics you want to cover?
Probably so much. I could talk with you forever.
Right.
I feel like we can get so overwhelmed by so many of those things, right? Like, well, if I can't get the news from the news, then where do I get it? And there's not like, this isn't going to be a change that happens overnight. I'm never going to arrive at any kind of state of perfection for like my faith, my clean living, like any of it, right? It's just taking the next best step. And for me, that's going to look different from anyone else. And I feel like it's important for us to all know that we still have the power and the capability to keep making our lives better. And in turn, it's going to make the lives around us better too. And I think that the way that we get our information matters, the way that we share our information matters. And I don't have all the answers for that, but I know that for me personally, I've been most changed not by the ways that I'm seeing a lot of people trying to make change. I wasn't ready to receive the information until I was personally injured, right?
Yeah.
And I hit some kind of a low, then I thought, I can't live like this anymore. And then I want to change. So for some people, they're not going to make that change until they reach a place where they're ready to accept this information. So you can't bully someone into receiving the information.
Yes.
You can only like plant seeds, right? You can offer information, especially maybe waiting until it's asked of you. You don't have to share your opinion with everyone. You can quietly advocate. You can do it as loud as you want to. Like we all share differently because we're built differently. And I think that's beautiful and it's okay. I glean so much from people who share the exact opposite way from I do. And
right.
I think
right. Sorry.
Okay,
Yeah. You can. Thank you. Sorry.
love life.
Right, exactly. They just came back from the store, so they were assisted by an adult, I promise. They didn't just go by themselves. No, but I love how you said that. Like it's on people's timelines, it's when they're ready, it's when they are met by a catalyst, right? It's but I think one thing that is important is when we can talk, we do need to talk. Yes. We do need to say something. And it doesn't have to be like a shout out from the rooftops. It can be like maybe a repost and say, I'm not okay with this. What do you think is happening? You know, and open it up to conversation. Like I think yesterday I posted a picture of a mom being arrested by 4 men in front of her son for not wearing her mask properly. And my question was, how is this okay? Like, why are we trying to save some people and yet damage others? You know, and I think it's okay for, like, we should feel comfortable demanding better from the government, from these big corporations. You know, like, it's okay to ask for more and to ask for better because we deserve it. But people that can't advocate for themselves deserve it too. And so when we can, we need to use our voices, because kind of circling back to our first point of, look at you, Shawna, you're a stay-at-home mom. I'm a stay-at-home mom. All we did was start opening our mouths, and we started sharing information, and things started moving. A ripple effect started happening. Everyone is capable of creating a ripple effect. And all it takes is just, you know, when you're ready, coming out of victim mentality, jumping into your hero mentality. Like we can all be heroes, right? And like embracing that, taking up space, and then just sharing what you know and opening up a healthy, comfortable, loving dialogue. And that, I think, is the best way to create momentum around positive change.
Yeah.
So
I agree. Be a safe space. You know, everyone's fighting battles, and this isn't easy for anyone, no matter what the situation. This circumstance that we're dealing with right now is unprecedented. It's hard. It's hard on everyone in different ways, but life is always hard. trying to minimize the hard right now. Life is hard. We need to be a safe space, and we need to come into our own abilities and advocacy to make change.
Right.
I feel like that can happen at the penny level, and it can happen at the protest level, and it's everywhere in between.
Yes. And it's with whatever mental and emotional bandwidth you have, you know, like take care of yourself, you know, thinking of the stay-at-home mom with children, like she upstairs, Layla. Sorry. They're just going to watch the show for 10 minutes while we wrap up. But, you know, it's, you know, that stay-at-home mom, she can't go to a rally. It's okay. She can still open her mouth and engage in conversation, or just talk to your children and just explain to your children what's happening in the world, because they pick up on everything. Yeah. They know what's going on, but they're learning it from the media. Don't let them learn it from the media. Let them learn it from you. Let them learn it from a safe space, a space that is empowering, and just, you know, give them the right information when you're ready to research it. Anything else you want to share before we kind of wrap this up? I know we had like so many topics that we wanted to talk about.
I covered everything. I was just going to say too, you know, I always say that we do what we can with what we're able as it makes sense for us. And I think that applies to all the things. So if we're talking about advocacy and making change too, I think it definitely will apply to that. So you can't just, I feel like personally, like I'm not trying to like get myself off the hook and say, well, I can't do that, and then just be like that's okay. It is okay, but I'm not trying to get myself off the hook and not do anything either. You know, don't wash hands of a situation. Like, we all have power, and it looks different for everyone, but we can't just give up. I don't want anyone to throw in the towel because we get overwhelmed. We're all making a difference, and the more we realize that we have the power to do so, then the more that we will feel equipped to do so and continue to make even more impactful changes.
Right. One last thing I want to add to that as well is, you know, for some reason, us moms, stay-at-home moms, because I think the majority of people that watch us, they're stay-at-home moms, like feeling bullied out of these conversations. You know, the wording "stay in your lane" comes to mind. I want you guys to give yourself permission that, you know, this is a worldwide issue. Like, this is absolutely our lane, because we are all human beings trying to learn to coexist. This is your lane. Figuring out how to mend and make change for those that can't do it for them. This is our lane. You know, like, we can utilize our privilege to create momentum and change. And yeah, it's going to be slow, but that's okay. At least we're doing, you know, at least we are creating energy towards it. We're, you know, and again, I always say this, where thoughts go, energy flows. So even if it starts with a thought, even if it starts with okay, next week I might say something, that's fine. You know, just anything helps. But this is your lane, you guys. You can't give yourself permission. You do not need to be an engineer to talk about this kind of stuff. You do not need to be a doctor. Like we said in the beginning, there's probably a lot of new people that are watching this. Like, who better to have these conversations than the women or the people who are raising the next generation? Like, we have a lot more power than we realize. So use that power. Step out of victim mentality. Stop looking for that hero. Stop looking for a villain. Become the hero. Make the change.
Yeah.
So will you leave us with like any of your wisdom that you can share with us, Shawna?
I have no idea. I don't know. One thing you just made me think of too is that sometimes the ones that we're looking for to be heroes are all too willing to step up and fill that role for us, but they're not actually fixing or saving anything. Yeah. So we have to be careful about who we're allowing to be that hero for us, or who we're looking for. Yeah, I don't know. I love you, and I love what you're doing, and you empower me so much. And I love everyone that is looking at this today or hearing it at any time. I'm just, you give me hope, because there's no change to be had if it's just me on my own. We're doing it together, and none of us is as powerful without the rest of us. And it matters that you're here. It matters that you're listening. It matters what you're doing. If you've been impacted, you have a voice. If it impacts someone or something that you care about, you have power and authority and voice in that situation. and it looks different for each of us, and that's okay. You've been equipped. If you've been called, you've been equipped, and we're gonna get through all of this together.
Totally. You're so great. Thank you, Shawna.
I love you.
We just love you. And I don't know if you, I've been trying to look at all of these comments, but just people just love you so much. So thank you for touching our lives. You are an incredible person to emulate, because you really do come across so empathetically, and you are very kind and gentle with the information that you share. And we need more people like this. And everyone that's watching right now, you are those people. There's a saying in Conversations with God where it says the truest leader is one who creates others. All right. So like we us to like, we are not your guys' heroes. You guys are just getting information from us, and you're turning into your own hero, and you're saving yourself. And I said this yesterday, like when people come into my clinic, their healing journey is 2% the clinical time, 98% the time and effort that they put in at home. Yes. Right? It's like we are just a catalyst. We're just feeding you little microdoses of information, and it's you guys that are taking that and you're just soaring with it. All right. So believe in yourself. All right. Like, you guys are capable of a lot of incredible things. Just give yourself permission to do that.
Yes.
That's it. I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you. And everyone that was listening and commenting, I didn't see all the comments. I really hope that Instagram
saves. I want to go back and read.
Right. Can we go back and read when it's saved? I don't know if we can, because Instagram has changed the algorithm. So I'm going to leave this up for a few seconds before if you want to.
You guys, I love you. Hi.
But yeah, I don't want to end this thing, because I'm really scared that if I do end this and then I save it, do you guys know if you save it as an IGTV live, it's going to leave all the comments? Do you guys know that? Because I don't think it does. So Shawna, I'm just going to leave this up for you to read. That's okay. And you guys can just stare at us. You guys can just stare at us while we are reading comments. Oh, this is not awkward at all.
Oh, this is really fun. Thank you guys. I feel like such a good get this over here.
You know what's really interesting too, just as we're reading the comments, is, you know, it's so easy when someone types something online that we can read it through a different narrative, right?
So true.
And it's not the narrative that the person intended at all. No. You know, like just talking to you here, an open dialogue, like us being as authentic as we possibly can. And I wonder, like, what is the dialogue that people have playing in their head when they're reading my stuff, right?
Yeah.
It's like
through your own filter. Yeah.
Right. Through their own filter. So authentic conversation in person is really the way to go, I think, if we're going to heal. All right. Through these comments too. You guys.
Hi, Dr. Angie. Hi, Doug. Hi, Peggy. I love you guys. It was so fun.
There's 67 of you guys that are still watching. You guys are awesome. So great. Okay, I'm going like all the way up, and I'm reading all of this. Alrighty, hold on, because I don't want to miss all the things. All right. Okay. Sorry. You weirdo. Let's see. Montreal. Yay.
Not seeing. Oh,
we have people from Hawaii. I'm just starting to stop. Okay. I love Shawna. She's helped so much. She has helped so much. You've made such a difference in my household and teach me so much. She's amazing tips from Shawna. Look at all of these things.
So much. Oh, hi, Peggy. I just stopped teaching when I had Ezekiel and decided to stay home. Yeah. That was probably like a million years ago, or if you're even still here, Peggy. Yeah, but about, who is this? Roxy, your grandson. Yeah, like not just our generation, like whatever I teach my kids, they might go on to teach their kids or other people that they come in contact with. And I hope to have grandkids one day that I can, you know, all of this gets passed down forever. It lasts beyond us. I love it. It goes so far beyond us.
It does.
Family.
I think, you know, have you ever heard of like generational trauma?
Yeah. Yes.
Like, like I think we need to be the generation that stops that. Like, no more trauma. We need to heal that as fast as possible. Let's see.
You guys are so cute.
Okay, throw away laundry. Yep, good. Throw away that laundry soap. Yes.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, you guys, these comments are so great.
Fear is a liar. You guys, this is good. How do people do this? I'm the worst.
With what? The live? I know.
And keep up with and like answer. People are awesome. I have so much more respect for people doing lives now. It's hard.
I know. It's really intimidating.
Yeah.
Like when I do a podcast, like no one's looking at me. I can just be in my PJs, eating food and talking into my.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh yeah.
But this one,
I've been keep meaning to share those, and there's some good ones.
there, I like the 100% agree. It doesn't have to be huge changes all at once.
No.
Sean taught me the small changes or additions can make a big difference. Yes.
That's sustainable, I think.
And sustainable. Yes.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Okay. Do you want a few more minutes, Shawna, as you're reading?
No, I think I'm okay. I'm just probably now. I just feel like I'm hanging out with all my girlfriends. I love you guys. This is so fun.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. The 6 of you that are still here. See ya. Bye. Thanks, Shawna.
Thank you.